For the first time, EMSA heads to Brazil with the LMDH battle heating up. Nicholas Isidro and Aaron Totten tied on points, but we have a newcomer looking to take points away from the both of them. Neither of them have swept either races in that category, results in that tie. Super exciting to watch. On the Mission R side of the equation, Aaron Smith is skipping away with this championship with 2 consecutive victories, but I don't believe he's here. It does not look like it. So who will be able to take the fight in the Mission R class? Either way, we will find out tonight as we welcome you to the EMSA Service Experts eWorld Tour with Bryan, Sawyer in the production truck and Cody Erdmann next to me in the commentary box. I am Josh Mertz as we are live from Interlagos on the Automotive Sports Network. As our coverage and series are both brought to you by Service Experts HVAC. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. For more information, visit serviceexperts.com. Cody, I admittedly did not watch last week. Guys, don't kill me, but from the bits and pieces that I did see, it was great.
Yeah, it was. Well, first off, welcome back here to our lovely booth that we have. Yeah, it was a real entertaining race. We had LMDH had some pretty entertaining battles, especially in the second race, watching them have to drive through the field on the full field invert. And then Porsche Mission R's too. Broderick Johnson was able to hold off Aaron Smith the whole race. So a good battle between them two as we watched that for 15 of the last 20 minutes. So good battle. Unfortunately, Aaron's not here tonight, so we'll see what happens as we have 4 Porsche Mission R's all within just a little over a second.
As 2.67 miles, 15 corners around here at Interlagos. It's going to be certainly fun to watch as 4 Mission R's and 3 LMDHs. As don't forget, our coverage also brought to you by NordVPN, the ultimate solution for online privacy and security. With NordVPN, you can surf the web freely and securely, knowing that all of your personal information is military-grade encrypted. Servers in over 60 countries, NordVPN allows you to access any content you want from anywhere in the world. No logs, you will have private coverage. NordVPN is easy to use with a simple interface, and you can connect from all over the world to watch all the streaming stuff, despite being your home country. For 63% off a 2-year plan, visit asntvUSA.com and click on NordVPN on the sidebar. So, looking through practice, Atsushi Ozafune is the guy we were talking about, Cody, and he is a second and a half faster than Nicholas Isidro. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, he's absolutely flying compared to the rest of the field. See if anyone can catch up. Isidro, Totten and Isidro, them two have been the class of the field the last 2 weeks. They've been our main two. So we'll see if now they have a new challenger.
As like we mentioned, they are tied on points. So we'll see if Mr. Car number 5, our Japanese-speaking driver, will be able to take points away, because I think that's the only way that it's going to break that tie in LMDH. And despite only having 2 cars that are battling for the championship, I say it every week, it's super great and super exciting to still be here with EMSA. As qualifying just over 10 minutes left, as we have fixed our graphic issues, and apologies for that. We were having some issues. But Cody, 2.2 seconds up on Totten is Ozafune in car number 5. No Mission R's. Well, Martin Mathis, the only Mission R to run a lap, 8:34.9. So almost a 10-second difference.
Yeah, so we should see them probably going through the field, or the LMDH field, have to drive through the Porsche Mission R's once in each feature. So have to watch out as the lap traffic. Give credit to Martin Mathis. He already stepped on. Nope. He was a 10th off of what he ran at practice. So I thought he ran a 35 in practice. He did not. He ran a 34.8. So good teams, or good lap time by him.
As I'm not sure if we have a graphic on it, but I at least want to go through the point standings coming into round number 3. We don't have a graphic, but once I can get it pulled up, I'll at least be able to go over it. once the interwebs decides to cooperate. So, Cody, Isidro and Totten tied with LMDH. We know that, and it hasn't even started racing yet. But I actually thought that Aaron Smith had a huge lead. But Broderick, 2 points down on him, and then 5 down is Adrian Johansson. So it might be a battle between those two this evening.
Yeah, I believe Broderick was second to Aaron on both races, so he was in overall both. So that's where he's only down 2. And Johansson, I believe he's always been kind of our third place runner. So for them two being here, Martin Mathis seems to have good pace too today. And then Gary Weaver, newcomer to the Port Mission Art field, he's just right there, just a hair behind Martin Mathis.
As we cross over halfway in qualifying, just about. We want to mention a programming note for the Automotive Sports Network. We will be back with the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge, February 27th in Brands Hatch or Knock Hill. We haven't really decided what track that we're going to do there. And I think, tentatively, we're going to have the next 2 weeks off here on Sundays with EMSA, but we'll keep you posted on the ASN Discord as we're not really sure, but we will be coming back for the 4th round of the championship at worst in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, got Super Bowl and Daytona 500 the next 2 weekends, so. And the series isn't 100% sure what they want to do yet, so we'll kind of work with them to find out.
Looks like no Dylan Thomas tonight. I think he posted in the Discord that he's got a sick daughter, and I think he caught it as well. So we wish the best to Dylan Thomas tonight. So let's get an update on our qualifying order. Osafune 122, Isidro 123.2, and Totten a 23.5. And Martin Mathis still, if that's right, he's the only Mission R to run a lap, or Broderick is on a lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Isidro might hinder Broderick's lap depending on when he catches him. Nope, looks like Isidro's slowing down for him. Give credit to Isidro, though. He picked up 8/10 from practice. Nope.
And I know that both of them have had their issues that we've seen this season so far, especially on the start. I still think that it's odd that this series is doing a standing start. I would imagine that rolling would be better, but we don't run the rules. But that's still a crucial point that we don't know what's going to happen despite only having 3 cars.
Exactly. Osafune's gonna learn that real quick here in the first race. Having to watch out the rearview mirror, have these Porsche Mission R's right on the back bumper.
And we saw that because these cars are not designed for that, the Mission R's really put up a fight down into turn number 1. What'll be really interesting is I don't think a Mission R has gotten by a prototype. But with the short run, we might see a Mission R lead out of turn 1.
Yeah, those first couple corners are super quick, and I think the Porsches with a bigger tire too, they could probably carry more corner speed a little bit, so they may be able to drive by them, and then the Porsches will fly right by them once they get up there. The LMDHs will fly right by them once they get up to full speed.
So, and Dylan Thomas is connected, according to Bryan Sawyer. So we wait and see. So maybe he's running sick.
I do see he's in the Discord at least. And in the driver chat.
So the next round of the championship, whether it's next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're going to go to Barcelona in Spain. Then we go to Imola, France, Silverstone, I'm curious to see how these cars will run at Magny-Cours, Cody.
Should be real interesting, as I know that's probably one of your favorite circuits on the planet, where it should be a real nice, good, clean race. I'd imagine the first couple corners, the LMDHs will be able to kind of check out real quick, and then they'll have to navigate through all the chicanes and everything that the course has. Because I've only ran a little bit around there, so I'm slightly familiar with that circuit, but not as much as you are.
So if you're looking at the calendar, so Silverstone, Zandvoort, Spa, Hockenheim, Ritskogen, Red Bull Ring, Hungaroring Ring, Fuji, Mount Panorama. What track would you pick if you had to race or wanted to race?
Well, as crazy as this is going to sound, I don't want to run it, but in my opinion, Bathurst is going to be wild. It's going to be an absolute chaos, especially I'm trying to comprehend on running the LMDH around there is just insane.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they'll hug the ground and how fast they'll go through that section at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, they just ran a little bit. They're practicing for the Bathurst 12-hour coming up on iRacing this weekend, and yeah, that place is just, even a GT car is insane. Now do the LMDH. I would say I'm a big fan of Imola and Spa. I would say are my top two, so probably one of them two would be my choices if I wanted to run one of these races in this series. Or honestly, tonight here in Interlagos is probably one of my other favorite circuits on the service.
Let's get a quick update as we're near the end of qualifying. The LMDH hasn't changed, but what I guess has changed, I don't think Totten was a second down on Isidro, so that might not be good for his championship hopes. Broderick Johnson make it a second and a half ahead of Gary Weaver. So Johansson hasn't set a lap. Let's see what he ran in practice. And in practice, he was a second off of Broderick. So this might swing Broderick's way. He might finally get redemption for the Triple Crown and even some E-Roval stuff. We know how quick he is in that car.
Yeah, Broderick thrown an absolute flying lap down with a 30.9. Everyone was in 34s and 35s in qualifying, so him and Gary too. Gary found a good couple seconds, so see if they can find a little bit more pace in the races. We got 1 minute and 38 seconds left.
Totten crosses the line, 1 minute 23.0. So he picks up some time, but still 4/10 down on Isidro. But if I recall correctly, we've seen Totten use that second feature as a practice session, or I could have him flipped in my head. But either way, one of these guys uses it as a test session and comes out much better in the second feature.
Yeah, with the limited cars we've been having, you can almost essentially do that because you can catch the tiebreaker and end up winning the overall. So sometimes the first race doesn't matter, but now that we have 3 drivers here, you got to make sure you do the best you can in each race. We'll say Adrian Johansson is yet to lay down a lap too. Looks like he's done.
He dropped due to packet loss, so we might not even see him. So that's going to be interesting to see for the points battle. While it's still super early, you and I both know, Cody, every point matters. So 15 seconds left in qualifying. Don't think we're going to see any position changes, so this might be the grid.
Yes, Totten was the only car on track. Now he just pulled it into pit lane, so
Osafune, 1 minute 21.398, 1.3 seconds ahead of Nicholas Isidro. Aaron Totten a further just over 4/10 back. As we get ready to grid here in Brazil, Adrian Johansson first on the track, 7th on the grid. So Osafune, Isidro, Totten and then pole for the Missionars Johnson, Broderick Johnson, Gary Weaver, Martin Mathis, Adrian Johansson.
Nice to see our newcomer Gary Weaver, P2.
I'm waiting to see. Dylan Thomas definitely isn't in the server, so this is going to be it as we get ready to go green in Interlagos. The LMDH is just like we talked about, slow off the line. We're going to have Johnson smoke him down into turn number 1. On the outside, Isidro will be able to carry the speed. He got a better jump than Osafun, and never mind, Nicholas Isidro takes the lead, and Osafun down to 3rd.
Osafun looked like he was taking it really easy there on the cold tire.
Mission R's contact for second, Mathis and Weaver. Weaver gets pushed off. Sorry to interrupt you. They're nearly into the wall. And here comes Johansson to the inside of Mathis. Down the back straight, can't make anything happen.
As Weaver, good avoiding just to make sure he didn't wreck it. Now he's going to set his sights on Broderick Johnson, who's had a great start, was able to, as we saw, jump pretty much the LMDH squad. And now he's got a good 10-car length lead over second place Gary Weaver.
As nothing changes in the LMDH field, Totten locks up under braking as Atsushi Osafun tries to sneak in. Car number 5, our newcomer to the series. As we ride on board car number 5 into the penultimate corner, but technically it is, but it really is the final corner here at Interlagos. And the blast up the hill down the front straightaway to the Senna S. Cody. One of the best sequences, in my opinion, in motorways.
Yeah, you have to make sure you hit your apexes just right, otherwise it's going to throw your whole sequence off. And honestly, I think the right hand...
Totten locks up. Osafun to the inside. Go to P2 for the Japanese driver.
Good capitalization there for the number 5. I think the second corner is probably your most crucial, because then you get a good run through the final left hand of the S. So I think you got to make sure you hit that right hand corner just perfect.
As we take a look, Mathis versus Johansson onto the back straight. There's no DRS on this car, but you're certainly going to get all the slipstream you can if you're Johansson. At the end of the braking zone, deep on the brakes, pushes out wide. Will Mathis try and counter him? Squirrely on the curbs in the 27. Looks like it was messy, but Johansson gets the job done, Cody.
Johansson throwing an absolute dive bomb there, making it work though. Thankfully, that corner too has a little bit of rumble strips. If you go a little too deep, you can just run off onto the access road.
It's Johansson closest to what I would call locking up in this car. You get a little bit late on the brakes and you have to stomp your foot on the pedal. Mathis loops it in the 14. Now Johansson setting his sights on Weaver and Johnson. And I'm impressed so far. Granted, we're only 2 laps in. Isidro ahead of Osafun at the LMDH field. He is 0.2 of a second faster that last lap. Resets fastest lap.
Yeah, Isidro just putting out good, solid laps here out front. See if Osafun will find any speed that he found in qualifying and practice.
As we'll take a look on board with Aaron Totten here shortly. Once Bryan's camera box decides to work for us. Apologies there. As we ride on board. And to take you for a lap here in Interlagos, the ups and downs of this circuit, as heading to turn 10, where Alex Albon got turned for that podium a couple years ago in the F1 race, down through turn 11, turn 12, Juncal. Lewis took the championship in 2008, and now back up the hill. Like we mentioned, there's technically 3 corners on the track map, but they really don't matter as we ride full throttle up the hill, down to the center, that's down to turn 1. This LMDH 182.3. Let's make it 185 miles an hour down to turn number 1. Spot the apex, clobber the curb. In both of these corners, you're flat out right after that first apex. Rounding turn number 3, Curva de Sol down the back stretch, the Rudda Aposta. And the Cita del Lago. Turn number 4, last lap for Tottenham, 1 minute 23.406. And I could talk about this car all day long here, Cody, as what a great circuit and what a great car with the LMDH.
Yeah, the it's a nice flowing circuit. Nothing too technical. It's nothing. But it just has a nice good flow to it. It's super fun to drive. It's, I would say, very much a driver's race.
As we welcome everyone to the Automotive Sports Network, we are with the EMSA Service Experts eWorld Tour from Interlagos. Bryan, Sawyer in the production truck, Cody Erdmann alongside me. My name is Josh Mertz. We are just under halfway, a couple minutes left till we get to halfway. As Nicholas Isidro leads over at Sushi Osafune in car number 5. Osafune was a full second faster than Isidro, but Isidro holds the lead. And Aaron Totten in third in the prototypes. Osafune resets fastest lap. Totten locks up into turn 1. Osafune 1 minute 22.296. Let's call it 0.3 of a second faster than Isidro there, Cody. And in the Mission R's, it has calmed down, but for sure prototype's heating up.
Totten ran a 22.4, so all 3 prototype drivers are within 4/10 of each other. Same thing with the Porsche Mission R's. Broderick ran a 35 flat, and Gary was a 35.1, and Johansson 35.4. So real tight racing. See what will happen in race number 2 once we bunch them back up.
Isidro might be under pressure from Osafune here in the 5 shortly, I'd imagine. But I don't know if I'd worry about winning, because you're still ahead of your guy that you're tied in points with. But it's also like you want to win the race.
Yeah, as a points battle wise, yeah, he's sitting in the perfect spot, being 2 spots ahead here. We'll give him a decent advantage going into race 2, where he'll be able to outpoint him for the overall. So we'll see what happens in race 2. Hopefully nothing too catastrophic happens to Isidro, but unfortunately, we'll find out if it does.
At least I think I read, like I mentioned in the opener, I think, I read that they haven't swept a race. So maybe that's the thing, too. Isidro, last lap, 23.1. Osafune, 23.3. So I'm just trying to figure out, because I don't think it's to the inside. Mathis lets him through. Will he let Osafune through on the apex? Such a tricky corner to do a multi-class pass. But I'm still trying to figure out how Osafune was a 1.5 seconds faster, but then Isidro just on pace, because I just don't know if this series is fixed or open setup.
I believe it should be fixed. I think Osafune's just trying to run a comfortable race and not pushing like the absolute, try to get every inch out of it and bounce off of her curb. I think he's just trying to run a comfortable race, make no mistakes. It's super easy in this car once you start pushing just to jump over that line. It's such a tricky car to get a hold of.
As Isidro leads Osafune ahead of Totten for the LMDHs, Martin Mathis, Broderick Johnson, Gary Weaver, and Adrian Johansson. As Martin Mathis 1 lap down. So he is 4th in the Mission R's. Last lap, Isidro was 0.2 up on Osafune.
As I'd imagine the next couple laps, we're going to have the LMDH trio start cutting through the Porsche Mission R trios. I can just see out front of Isidro just catching up to Johansson. Is Gary Weaver slowly catching up, or at least was catching up to Broderick Johnson.
As gap between them, 2.8, make it 3 seconds. Osafune 3/4 of a second away of Isidro. And now they're going to have Johansson in the way. Final corner. Will Osafune get the slipstream? I think he's a little bit too far back to make anything happen this lap. But if he maintains this pace, I think maybe next lap.
Yeah, in these LMDHs, the slipstream isn't as big as like we're used to in the GT cars or the open wheel cars. You pretty much have to be within a half a second for it to really matter. At least that's what I found out when we ran the Daytona 24.
9/10 up. That last lap was Osafune on Isidro. Nearly onto the grass under braking is car number 5. The level of perfection that you have to be in these cars. They come up on Gary Weaver and Broderick Johnson, so the top two in the Mission R field. Looks like Weaver almost squeezes Isidro, realizes it, and Osafune, late on the brakes, locks him up.
Slight wiggle there out of Osafune on that braking.
Rounding turn 9 up to turn 10. In front of the field, Johnson! As that's our leader in the Mission R's. Here comes Gary Weaver to take the lead. Position change in the Mission R field. And now, ending turn 12, up the hill once again. And Osafune still 3/4 of a second away.
Yeah, he's slowly reeling them in. The gap is about the same this time, although Osafune had a little bit of more of a avoidance driving than what Isidro had.
As Broderick Johnson, as a result of that spin, a second and a half away from Gary Weaver. As we cross halfway, remember that our coverage is brought to you by NordVPN. You can get up to 63% off a 2-year plan by visiting asntvUSA.com and clicking NordVPN on the sidebar. Osafune deep on the brakes. Once again, one of my favorite phrases. Up the hill, turns 5 into 6. He was really close at the end of the back straightaway. And Isidro under pressure now, squarely under acceleration. Rounding turn 9, up the hill once again. I think this will be Osafune's lap here, Cody.
Yeah, he's good. He can take his time though, see where is the best spot to capitalize, as he does have 7 minutes and 45 seconds left here. Because he seems to be one of those methodical racers where he just kind of takes his time, doesn't really push the issue, and then just capitalizes on the mistake.
Isidro pulls away, so it's 0.6 of a second. I think the middle sector is where Osafune really claws some gap back. As Isidro runs it wide, and Osafune to the lead. Under pressure. It was going to get you one way or the other. As we take a look in the Mission R's, Gary Weaver under pressure from Broderick Johnson. As we round turn 1 and 2, Cody.
Yeah, as Broderick's trying to recover from that mistake that he had, as we saw him self-spinning there in the hairpin. So we'll see if he can catch back up. He's slowly been catching. He was down 2 seconds. Now it's cut back down to a second. So it's been slowly reeling in Gary Weaver, as I would say the most veteran of the Porsche Mission R drivers in the field that we got here tonight.
Still missing quite a few people. Hopefully we get, for example, Paul Krohn back, or Jeff Mathis. But we have missed our Triple Crown and eWorld champions. And hopefully soon. As Gary Weaver, gap is half a second back to Broderick Johnson. Johnson was quicker by a second the last lap around. As we'll still focus on this Mission R, I've been keeping my eye on the LMDHs. Isidro hasn't lost any pace to Osafune, so we might see a battle here in the next few minutes in the LMDH, something I didn't predict. Running wide, Gary Weaver. Into the race lead goes Broderick Johnson.
As Broderick was able to capitalize on just a little bit of running wide by Gary. Now Gary's going to have the slipstream down the front straightaway here. Let's see if he does anything to fight back on in turn 1.
Stay in the slipstream as long as you can. Get the best benefit. Weaver thought about it. Under braking, but didn't pull out to the inside of car number 82 as we ride on board Broderick on the right side. Look from high above on our left side.
Flip up there by Gary. As he's been trying to push here, trying to catch up now. Deep on the brakes was Gary.
Broderick was 9/10 up, 9/10 faster the last lap around. The two LMDHs are going to catch up to Martin Mathis.
Oh, Gary.
As around is Broderick. Neither of them want to win this class. So now Gary Weaver back to the race lead in the Missionars. Osafun leads ahead of Isidro. Isidro had an issue under braking in turn 1. He slid it in car number 424. Didn't hit anything. And I think Osafun, that's all he needed. Still 4 minutes left. But the gap is bigger than it's ever been, I think, this race.
Got the replay here of what happened to Broderick. He was going and he just swung a little too wide, and you can see the grass kick up as he just caught the grass a little bit. So that's what made him kind of spin around. So just a little bit of a driver error there.
Way easier to do than you'd think.
100% agree.
It's happened one too many times to me.
You just get a little bit too comfortable with your, whether your perimeters of your car, or at least you think they are, and then you just kiss a wall or catch too much of the grass. Broderick almost does it again, coming out of the Senna S.
Isidro was 2/10 down the last lap, but I think he's realized that I'm ahead of my championship rival. I'm not going to push for this win. So LMDH commentator Curson, coming probably, looks settled. But Weaver ahead of Johnson, 4.5 seconds. I think the same case has happened here as well, as Broderick doesn't want to do what he did last lap.
See, Broderick might have enough time to catch Gary. We'll see. As Gary only ran a 37, won that last lap, although they are on the race mode now, so a little bit less speed than they do in quali now.
As Osafun 3.5 seconds ahead of Isidro, who's a half a second ahead of Aaron Totten. Or no, I misread that. 4 seconds. Because I thought it was an interval from Osafun's car, who we ride on board with, who fastest in qualifying, had an issue as this series does standing starts instead of rolling like prototypes normally would. And it seemed like that no one wanted to win this race either with that start, and then when Isidro slid, but Osafun leads by 4.5 seconds ahead of Nicholas Isidro, who leads his championship rival, Aaron Totten, by a further 3 seconds. As we just cross under 2 minutes. Roughly, I would say about 2 laps to go. Isidro...
Johnson self-spun it, fenced it hard. He may be done for this race.
As I was taking a look off monitor while we watched Osafun, that's exactly what he did. 2 right side tires into the dirt and into the fence goes Broderick Johnson. He's still running.
Yeah, as we got the replay here, he just clips the grass, turns right into the Armco. Looks like his race 1 will be done.
And that's not what you want. As he can't even turn right. Yeah, he's retiring his car. As Isidro ahead of Totten for LMDH. As Osafun will take the white flag, it looks like. Weaver, Johansson, Mathis, Johnson, our running order in the Missionars. And Johansson, I'm interested on his pace, because we thought he'd be quicker than that. but a costly mistake potentially for Broderick because he was in a comfortable second spot. We take the white flag.
Honestly, between them three, I think the start is the most crucial thing for the Porsche Missionars because they're running roughly about the same lap times as Johansson. He had a 35 step. Oh, no, that's a practice, right? Yeah, no, still in the race, 35.4, 37.4, 37, 36. And let's see what Gary has here. He has 34, 35, 35, 35. He's gone into the 36s now as he's letting by the overall race leader in Osifin.
Osifun, as a reminder, it reverses the grid. So I just can't remember if it'll send him to last on the grid in general. It will?
Yes.
So
all of the LMDHs will be in the back.
There's a reverted start, by the way, for the second feature that we kind of forgot to talk about. So in his first race, not only has he dealt with a standing start, but he's going to deal with a second standing start in last. Atsushi Osifun wins feature number 1 here in Interlagos. Nicholas Isidro comes home in second. As our graphic doesn't want to play nice, of course. We're still working on it. I appreciate everything you've done, Bryan Sawyer. As we look at... As Osifun, Isidro, Totten, then Weaver, Johansson, Mathis, Johnson. That's our results in the Missionars. As we're still working on it, but team names, work in progress. But there we have it on that. As your wonderful commentators would love to be able to step aside, we have, for the first time ever in ASN history, potentially integrated an ad break, which will be shortly. But I'm excited, Cody, for this second feature.
Yeah, it should be really good race going on. LMDHs are a lot closer than I think we initially thought compared to qualifying and practice. So, and then making them drive through the field like they're going to have to do now. And then I would say Johansson, Johnson, and Weaver, whatever happens on the initial start of whoever gets out front, they're kind of in the catbird seated. As long as they don't make a mistake, they could take the win.
As a remember, our Covered in Series brought to you by Service Experts HVAC. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. For more info, serviceexperts.com, as they bring us the Service Experts eWorld Tour for EMSA this evening. As we'll be back in just a couple minutes, have some messages from some friends. From Interlagos, be back soon.
Hot water's overrated. Look, these guys jump in icy cold water for fun. For fun!
I'm out. Nope.
You gotta feel the lemon!
There's an expert for that. Let your local experts at Service Experts give you worry-free hot water as low as $34.99 a month.
Your body acclimates.
Call the experts today.
You're so interesting.
I love your browser history.
I like that you're not hiding anything from me.
By the way, nice IP address. I like your neighborhood.
You are so special. This ad is just for you. I learned so many things from you.
You are so generous.
With your personal data.
Switch on privacy, switch off trackers and viruses. Go to nordvpn.com. NordVPN. Safely be you.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
As we welcome you back to Interlagos here for the EMSA Service Experts eWorld Tour, round number 4 of the championship. No one has run a lap in warm-up, so I'm sure round 3, I apologize there, as I'm sure it you got spared of us blabbing for 3 or 4 minutes. Martin Mathis peeks out of the pit lane, but parks as everyone really preparing for this second feature race, Cody.
Yeah, as everyone's just kind of watching the tapes and seeing where they can do better, see what mistakes were made that they can correct for the second race, and hopefully it should be an entertaining battle between the two classes.
As Bryan Sawyer down in the production truck, Cody Erdmann alongside me. My name is Josh Mertz for the Service Experts eWorld Tour. A couple programming notes on the Automotive Sports Network. Just a reminder, we're not entirely sure when we will be back for EMSA, whether it's next week or the week after or the week after that, because of the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500. I will keep you posted on the ASN Discord, asntvUSA.com as well. Either way, we're going to be in Barcelona, in Spain, and that's a great track as well. So we'll keep you posted. But either way, some Sunday from now, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge returns for the 27th season on February 27th. We will be at Brands Hatch or Knockhill. We're still deciding internally as an admin team. Either way, ASN will be live 9 p.m. Eastern, the 27th of February. It's a Monday. So we're getting close to starting this race, Cody. And even Bryan, if you want to type something in a production truck. Who do you think is good for both classes?
I'm gonna kind of go. I want to say a wild one, but I think Isidro. I think he can, if he puts a full race together here. I think he'd be able to outrun Osafun and take the overall win in the class win. And if Broderick didn't make those 2 mistakes, I think he would have won the first race. So I will say him on the second one.
So Bryan says Osafun and then Weaver stealing it at the end of the race. I say Isidro and Broderick. Grid for the second feature, like I told you, it's inverted. Dylan Thomas, he's not here, so we ignore him in the graphics. Broderick Johnson, Martin Mathis, Johansson, Weaver, Totten, Isidro, Osafun. Why ignore Bryan or Dylan Thomas? It's because he joined as a driver and glitched the whole session. He's live here hanging out with us. Love you, Dylan. Thank you for your support. We get ready for the second feature race here in Interlagos for the eWorld Tour, Service Experts eWorld Tour for EMSA. And the standing start, always a pain for the LMDHs, so we will see a Mission R lead at least into turn number 1. Make me look like a liar. Thanks for joining us this evening on the Automotive Sports Network. Cody Erdmann alongside me. My name is Josh Mertz as we get ready to go green in Interlagos. Green flag. We have a couple cars off the track for this second feature. The LMDH is slow off the line, but not having issues. Down to turn number 1. Johansson side by side with Mathis into the first corner. Gary Weaver missed the start to the inside. Totten on Mathis. He's ahead of Isidro, who spins, Mathis does, in front of Osafun. And now Totten, Isidro, ahead of the Mission R's. Osafun in third. Johansson leads Weaver, who skipped the start. Probably a good idea with all the chaos.
Yeah,
Isidro passes Totten for the race lead.
As Broderick Johnson left, so we will not see him battle for the win here on race number 2.
Isidro complaining under braking is the BMW LMDH. Ahead of Aaron Totten, ahead of Osifun. And that's going to be interesting. Johansson, who finished last, I think, or third, in that first feature. Weaver second, Mathis third. As Totten slides it at the bottom of the hill, Osifun goes wide to avoid. But Totten not having a good day. And this is going to be big for the points in LMDH.
Yeah, as Totten now, he's in pit lane. And he now has left the speedway. So now we're down to 2. Isidro is your leader here. A good 2-second lead over Osifun. See, kind of race 1 all over again.
As update for Broderick Johnson, his power went out yet again. So that's why the 82 is not here. Hopefully we see him at least on track if the power comes back on. Best wishes to you if it's something serious. Isidro leads Osifun. So this will be, like I agree with you, and Johansson and Weaver. As Totten will finish third, but it's not what he needs.
As Johansson's got a decent 2.5-second lead right now. See if he's able to put in a good solid laps here for the next 17 and a half minutes here.
I think there are a couple of drop weeks, so realistically speaking, if Osifun decides to run all the races, he might even be able to challenge for the championship, so that's just another point with that. Johansson, Weaver. This is for first and second in Mission R. Gap is 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's been roughly the same gap the entire time. Isidro, then Osifun goes quickest so far with a 22.1. So they're laying down really quick lap times here.
His last lap time, he crosses the line. 1 minute 35.0, 1 minute 35.2 for Adrian Johansson. Atsushi Osifun, 1 minute 22.191 for the Japanese driver. And Nicholas Isidro, 1 minute 22.950 for our points leader. As yellow number plate in either class would be the points leader. Aaron Smith would have one, but he's not here in the Mission R's, so it's been an odd race for that class in an appropriately odd series. But we love everyone here in EMSA, just like NASA, the meme group. I love it. Isidro, 8/10 down that last lap. Cody, Osifun, I think just biding his time.
Yeah, he just, like I said, the first race seems to be one of those methodical races where he just takes his time. He knows he has 15 minutes left here in this race, so he can just take his time, put down good laps, and put just enough pressure on him where Isidro will make the mistake. Osifun sets even a quicker lap time with a 22 flat, so just nice, good, clean laps.
As I feel like I did in the opener, I want to thank Chad Irvine for helping us out last week while I was on vacation, and I wonder, can I request your services, because I might jump in one of these. And maybe we can get someone to cover you. Maybe Phil can, and we can jump in these things and race these things, because it's super fun to watch these two cars go around the track.
Oh, the LMDHs are a blast just to run. Super quick, get up off the corner real fast, and you just gotta... It's really easy to underestimate your driving, because these things can handle a lot more speed than you think. Like, it took me a good hour or two to figure out how fast I could go through the Le Mans chicane at Daytona. So it's a lot quicker than you'd think, so it takes you a bit to get used to.
As super excited that EMSA is going to have an endurance triple crown after we're done in the World Tour. As the World Tour ends on May 14th, and the Enduro Triple Crown June 4th. June 4th will be in Daytona, then the Nürburgring and the Le Mans. So, a couple of real good tracks for this type of car, of course. I'm curious to know the track for the Nürburgring. That'll be a whole different can of worms. As Osifun, all over the rear wing of Isidro, down the Ruta Aposta into Cita del Lago, turn 4. Osifun even with him. Totten sideways off the curb, side by side, rounding turn 5, up the hill to Ferradura, turn 6. Easy to clip the grass and get it wrong, but Osifun doesn't. But he gives Isidro the spot, battling for the lead. We haven't missed anything in the Mission R category. But Osifun, excited on the brakes, waiting till the last possible moment. As we'll also keep an eye on the Mission Rs.
Both battles for the lead, super close. Both within a half a second here, so see who will be able to take over the lead first.
It's been a thoroughly entertaining evening, despite the fact that there's only battles for the one spot instead of having multiple. But say the same story for every endurance-style race. My first experience was American Le Mans Series in 2012, and there was only 2 cars in the prototype class. And it came down to a photo finish after the winner unlapped himself 4 times. So anything can happen when you have 2 cars.
Wow. In ASN fashion, too. We look back on all the rallycross races where we had 4 or 5 cars with some of the best battles.
I agree.
You only need 2 cars to battle.
Back up the hill, Osifun battling Isidro. They were equal on lap times that last time around. In the Mission Rs, Johansson a second slower than Weaver the last time around. Isidro withstanding the pressure. Can he withstand the pressure? That last race he didn't, as we're not even halfway yet.
Yeah, they're coming up
in the Mission R.
Yeah, so they're coming up on the lap traffic here of Mathis.
Stays drivers right to avoid the prototypes and lets them continue to battle. Weaver was half a second down on Johansson that last lap in the Mission Rs. As 6 cars started this race, 5 are in it, as Aaron Totten spun a couple times in the opening laps of the race. And off the road went the second place man in points. That's going to be hard to make up in the coming weeks. Isidro, 1 minute 23 even, to a 1 minute 23.1 for Osifun in car number 5. As we'll take a look at the Mission Rs, Adrian Johansson leads ahead of Gary Weaver. He was half a second faster the last time around. We're just going to wait and see, as you still have to drive at a great pace. But be consistent, one of my struggles.
As I'm surprised Weaver hasn't caught up more to Johansson. It's been roughly around 5 to 8 tenths of a second for the last couple laps here.
As Atsushi Osifun has crashed, we're hearing, as we looked up and why he was so far back, he ran off the road in the penultimate corner and into the tires.
Because we have the replay here. He just went and just missed the corner essentially, then slid off unfortunately into the tire barrier. These cars do not like the grass.
They're just like F1 cars. You mangle one of these winglets and you're going to lose so much speed. So now Isidro can really calm down, but he's calming down behind the Mission R battle. Weaver's got to let him through. And Johansson's going to let him through. Will this compromise Johansson?
Looked like Weaver caught up from that whole situation.
So we've got still a battle in the Mission R class. Weaver follows Johansson. And these cars, so fun to watch, even on bigger circuits like this. But we're excited to come back for the eRoval series in the fall for EMSA to see these cars on those tracks. And the LMDH is on those tracks. I don't know if I should be excited or really terrified.
I think that one, especially on like New Hampshire and some of the smaller ones, that's the whole jet fighter gymnasium saying that's going to fit
Iowa.
with those cars. Yeah, Iowa. They're going to just be ripping around those little tracks.
Weaver pushing hard. He was 3/10 up the last lap behind Johansson. This is the battle for the lead in the Mission R class. The prototypes haven't changed as Atsushi Osafune slid off in the penultimate corner and into the fence. Weaver's got a huge run off of turn 4, turn 5. Will he look to the inside? Can't get anything done in the Ferradura. As we round 7 into 8, he's there. He had to hit the brakes to avoid hitting him as we ride on board to the inside. Weaver goes, locked up on the apex of turn 8. He had a huge run up the hill there.
Good clean driving, though, to make sure he didn't run into him.
Rounding turn 10 to 11 down to Junsao in turn 12. And do you think Weaver maybe went too quickly, too soon?
I think he just had a little bit of the run, a little bit of a good run there, and he just decided that wasn't the right spot. Or I think he realized that it was going to jeopardize wrecking them both, so he just kind of backed out of it. See if he can get another run here going. He does seem to be just a hair faster, but it's a good saying of it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him. Especially when you're that close on speed, it just makes it even more of a challenge to pass.
As an update on pace for Osafune, as we watch him get around the 2 Mission R's, Gary Weaver's first, then it's Adrian Johansson. Pace, as we look at the last laps, Osafune was the same lap time, Cody.
Yeah, it seems like Osafune now, he's just trying to make sure he just finishes now as Johansson runs wide, cuts it clear the grass to come back on. So now another run by Weaver here in the same corner.
It would be very unwise to make a move into Ferradura unless you're side by side like you are now. Weaver passes Johansson for the race lead in the Mission R's. Rounding turn 8, parked on the apex, rounding turn 9. Great defensive driving for Gary Weaver. Will he defend into turn 10? That's a good passing opportunity as well. Leaves the door open, but Johansson's not there.
Yeah, it's not Gary's able to kind of set his sights and just not worry about what's up behind him. I think Gary should know that he's a little bit quicker, so to start pulling away here. I think the main thing you'd have to worry about, though, is turn 1, having a little bit of the draft.
As we've had such a crazy race, we haven't been able to let you know you can get up to 63% off a 2-year plan of NordVPN by going to asntvUSA.com and clicking NordVPN on the sidebar on the left. Thank you so much for your support of the Automotive Sports Network. Adrian Johansson laid on the brakes to try and catch Weaver here as we just about hit 5 minutes left. And this race isn't over.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've seen plenty of drivers make mistakes here. I think every single one has. So, one just a little slip up, especially with like how close this battle is between Weaver and Johansson. One little slip up by Weaver and Johansson just can take over the first place.
So, I've of course been looking at the LMDHs just for curiosity's sake. And Isidro, 1 minute 22.9 to Osafune's last lap at 24.6. So I think I might have spoke a little bit too soon in regards to pace on that one.
Yeah,
Weaver still leads. It's half a second up. Sorry, Cody, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that Osafune's sliding off into the tire barrier. I wonder if he's got a little bit of a damage that's just hindering the speed of the car.
Because I have an idea for if we race. You should race one of the Mission Rs, and I'll race the prototype. I think it's a good idea.
Definitely down to. I haven't really ran much of the Mission Rs, so.
Unless you want to recreate NASA and run the prototypes, but that's fine with me too.
We'll figure that out once we can.
As Weaver still leads over Johansson. Isidro still leads over Osifun. As excited to see the next race in Barcelona, how that'll stack up with these cars. And I wonder, as we had, I think, Cameron Henn last week in the prototypes, I'm interested to see if we're going to get a consistent third entry. Just to see whether it is Osifun to create a championship challenge or just someone to get in the way of Totten and Isidro. Because even then, that's a great battle in itself. And then the Mission Rs if we get Aaron Smith back. But of course, there is a couple drop weeks, so who knows? You guys just have to tune in on some days to find out with us. As we ride on board, Nicholas Isidro probably saw Martin Mathis in the middle of the road there and passes him. Isidro cruising to a race win here in EMSA. As last race, he did finish second. And the average finish would be the same, obviously, but Isidro, the tiebreaker, is where you finish in the second feature.
Yeah, so we should, once they get just official clarification down from the offices, or the officials, sorry.
And 2 minutes left. So, anything can happen. Usually does when ASN is here, regardless of series. As Weaver is, make it 3 seconds ahead of Adrian Johansson. 1 corner ahead. I wonder if Johansson had another issue? I think he did.
Yeah, he's now set about 3 seconds back off of Weaver. Weaver's able just to put good, clean laps together.
As we take a look on camera, Gary Weaver. As we rode on board the LMDH, let's take a ride on board one of the Mission Rs. Just show you a different perspective of this track. It's just as difficult as the LMDH for different circumstances. So these cars, all-wheel drive, and unlike brakes, Cody, compared to the prototypes. So these cars can't lock up the brakes.
Also, you can't use because it's got a single gearbox, all electric motor, so got nothing to help you slow you down. All you got is your brakes, so you got to make sure you hit your marks each and every time.
We're going to take the white flag here in Interlagos. As off monitor, I'm taking a look at Isidro up to the start-finish line, our leader in LMDH. So he will take the white flag ahead of Atsushi Osifun, who we thought had the pace to challenge Isidro. He won the first feature after a mistake from Isidro, but he was up in qualifying and then had an issue in the final corner. So that took him out of the equation, and the Mission Rs have been topsy-turvy all evening. We had Broderick Johnson win the first feature and then have a power outage. Can't be here. And Gary Weaver's going to sneak away with this second feature win, and I believe overall get that shortly from the officials. As Isidro comes up on Johansson, who is leading, or sorry, is second. Apologies there.
As Isidro was able to put a nice, clean, solid race here for race number 2. No mistakes by him, which will get him the win in race number 2. Same thing with Gary Weaver. Just nice, good, clean races. No mistakes out of each of them.
Because I think that would be our results. So final corner for Isidro. the hill. And he will round the straightaway final corner up the hill to win in Interlagos, lengthen the points lead. Gary Weaver comes across to win the second feature in Mission R's. As Atsushi Osafune, the Japanese driver, a lot of issues in the second feature, and Aaron Totten had some issues on the start. As Gary Weaver wins in the Mission R subclass, Johansson, Mathis, and then technically speaking, fourth place, Roderick Johnson. So, unless I am correct here, gentlemen, I think Weaver won overall, if we had to unofficially call it here, because Broderick wasn't here for the second race.
I believe you would be correct.
Alrighty. So we'll bring in our Mission R winner, Gary Weaver. You'll have a nice chat with him.
Hey there, Gary. Got us?
I hope so.
Yes, we got you. One, welcome to the series. And two, congratulations on taking the overall win.
I'm surprised I survived both of those. Broderick definitely deserved the win in the first heat. That sucks that he caught the grass on. I don't know about the first spin. I think he caught the grass on the first spin. Definitely the second spin. It was right in front of me. I almost drove right into him in that first heat for that second spin. So that was only slightly terrifying. But overall, that was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed that. I had a great battle with Adrian as well. That was so much fun overall.
Yeah, as you put in good, clean races, both races. I believe just a tiny bit of a mistake you had in the first one. But overall, just a nice, clean race. Made sure you kept the wheels on the pavement the entire time. So in the initial start of race one, you guys launch and you are essentially passing the LMDH squad. What was your initial thought on that?
My little first thought was, oh no, because, like you said, the first pass is like right on top of them. So what I'm thinking is once I see the LMDH in front of me, it's just, well, either I already know they're faster than me. So my first thought is basically, well, either try and pass them and immediately get past and compromise everybody's line and probably even worse, or I just sit back, wait, let everything play out in the first corner. And luckily I chose the latter option because I definitely didn't want to have a turn one lap one wreck.
For sure. We noticed that you started off in the pits in the second race. Was that a planned thing or was that just something happened?
That was entirely unintentional, and the reason is I race in VR. So what I have for my VR headset is something called the Guardian Boundary, which basically is a whole boundary with the limits of my room. It didn't load when I put my headset back on for the second heat, so I'm trying to get it to trigger the Guardian Boundary, and then it didn't. So by the time I just set a room scale boundary, which is basically, oh, you have a whole room, then you'll be fine. Once I said that, it was already a missed start. So I figure, well, I guess I'll just start from pit road. But that was disappointing to not make the grid for that one. But luckily, then I guess Iverson changed the how pit starts are done a long time ago, because that is, I'm used to a 10-second wait time. So I'm very surprised that let me go, I think, within 3 seconds.
As you were able to recover from that technical difficulty. Who would you like to thank on helping you win your first EMSA race?
Of course, big thanks to Dylan Thomas for letting me, well, pretty much, just letting me join even mid-season, technically. That was so much fun. You guys for the broadcast, of course. Service Export for the experts. Wow, that's a great start. Service Experts for the sponsorship of the league for allowing us to do this, because this is a very interesting concept, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's terrifying when you have the LMDH, flying behind you up in the mirror, but aside from that, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out tonight. Hopefully we'll see you each and every week moving out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will now have a chat with our overall race winner, Nicholas Isidro. I guess, Nick, just talk me through the standing start still in these cars.
It's not as complicated as it seems. I mostly just hold down the clutch and 50% throttle, and then release the clutch when the lights go green. And then there's a little bit of a wheel spin, but you can just avoid that by letting off the throttle some more.
So, how was it on that first start, though, when you got passed by the Missionars into turn one?
Well, the Missionars have better acceleration in general because they're fully electric so they have a lot more off the start. But after, you don't really need to get past them immediately, since at Interlagos it's just another long straight after the first sequence of turns.
Walk me through the mistake in the first feature when you were leading down to turn one. How'd you? What was the thought process on that?
I just overcooked the first turn and went off into the grass, I think.
Are you worried about the championship, depending on if we get a third car consistently or just every once in a while entered?
It'll be definitely more interesting if there are more cars entered, but I still feel pretty confident with the lead that I have that I'll be able to do well in the championship.
Anyone you'd like to thank for your race win this evening?
Just thanks for putting this on, help broadcasting it.
Alrighty, sir. Nicholas Isidro, a race winner this evening here in Interlagos. Cody, what are your final thoughts for the evening?
All right. Absolutely great battles we had, especially there in race 2 where we had both battles for the leads for half a second or under for a good chunk of the race. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll see them kind of grow, each class grow, moving forward through the year, and have some more amazing full battles once we get to some more of the popular tracks.
As congratulations to Nicholas Isidro on his third consecutive win. Congratulations to Gary Weaver on his first win in his first start. As a couple programming notes before we say goodbye this evening. Next race for us in EMSA will be a couple Sundays potentially from now. We will go to Barcelona for round 4, so I think we're going to be off for the Daytona 500 and for the Super Bowl. We should be back after that. We'll keep you posted. And the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge starts their season February 27th. You can join us, nasadiscord.tk. That's going to be super exciting as well. As our coverage brought to you this evening by NordVPN, your ultimate solution for online privacy and security. Browse anything, anywhere, encrypted from any country, and you can get up to 63% off a 2-year plan. Visit asnTVUSA.com and click on NordVPN on the sidebar. I think that's about it from us here in Interlagos. For Bryan Sawyer in the production truck, Cody Erdmann alongside me. My name is Josh Mertz. We hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage of the EMSA Service Experts eWorld Tour. We will see you soon in Barcelona. Until then, so long, everyone.